everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Brown Journals, where we talk about realistic and imperfect sustainable living and how we can introduce sustainability into our everyday lives while living in a system that is really not built for low waste, regenerative, or sustainable living. And yes, regeneration and sustainable are different things, but sustainability is the stepping stone to a regenerative life, which is what we need. So, today I'm going to talk about something that is related to finances. Now, I'm not a personal finance coach, instructor, manager, or anything of that sort. I'm just a liberal arts graduate. So, please take the advice of someone who's actually studied and practiced economics over my opinions. But this whole thing is because a lot of people who live sustainably are expected to not care about money. And as Shelby said in her videos, money is security in the world we live in, right? Like, I had a client who I spoke to a while ago, I will not be taking names, who told me, who are really passionate about sustainability. Like, I love that about them. They really want to advocate for sustainability, but they did not want to pay me. Even after I gave them various discounts, because I was so impressed by how much into sustainability they are. Because they want to work with people who are actually caring about sustainability over people who care about money. And here's the thing, I have limited energy. I want to devote all of it to creating content, which is what I'm good at, for sustainable living, to help people ease into sustainable living. And if I want to devote all my energy into that, other than the little I need to have a good work life balance, then I need to get paid for it. Otherwise, I'll have to split my time between working for money and working towards what I am passionate about and having a personal life, which is, by the way, very sustainable as much as I can make it, and I'm improving every single day. So, and I'm not saying people can't do this. I mean, Megha Ahuja of Climate Valley fame has been doing it, but that's not the road I want to take. So, if I say, hey, I'm doing this work for you, I deserve to get paid for it, that is a sustainable thing to ask for. So, please, if someone's not paying you, go speak up if you have the ability to do so. But I digress. The whole point of this video was, since we are living in a broken system, what can we do to encourage sustainability? And how can we invite sustainability into our personal finances? So I'm going to begin with a little bit of history, but it's going to be like really short, less than a minute. So when GDP was coined, the person who coined the GDP said that it is a marker of the economic progress of a nation, but it is not a holistic marker because it does not take in the work done by communities, the unpaid labor of mothers, stuff like that, which are all very integral to us having a good, healthy life, a happy well-being. Okay, that sentence made no sense. What even is a happy well-being? But you get the point, right? But obviously, countries took up the GDP, and now the whole idea has become you have to exponentially grow your GDP, which has led us to a linear economy where we are constantly taking and taking and taking from the planet and dumping waste and toxins into it. And then whatever we use has become so short living because the more we buy, the more we contribute to the economy. And it has caused so many issues. I think Shelby has a whole video on it, which I will link in the descriptions. But essentially, we get a dopamine rush when we shop, but it's for a very short time. We are buying items that don't actually add value to our lives and just increase clutter. We have started thinking our value is our material possessions and not our well-being. Our quality of life is defined by how much we can consume instead of how happy we are and stuff like that. Right? We've created an entire social structure and the idea of class, the idea of everything based on this hypothetical creation of ours. Right. But the problem here is, as much as we know green capitalism will not save us, we also just cannot get up one day and be like, no more capitalism. It's a system. Whether we have better systems or not is a different conversation, but it's the system we live in, and we have to be very careful while we move from this system to another system, such as degrowth, circular economy, or all the other sustainable, actually helpful systems that are theoretically out there, so that we do not end up harming people in this transition. Like, for example, my dad, he's a chartered accountant. I was speaking to him and he was telling me about how in the fashion industry, if everyone started thrifting, they, if not done in a careful, planned out manner, there could be a shortage of work and a surge in unemployment because all the people working in factories currently have no jobs. Obviously, the argument is there that they're being paid peanuts, less than peanuts, unethical, non fair wages. So, but then I remember the book I read, Psychology of Money, which said, hey, this job is better than no job, right? And in such a case, obviously, these people who are working in factories can find jobs in thrift stores. They can find, and if we go down the slow fashion route, which, while not the most sustainable, is still better than fast fashion, we can still give them jobs, their own jobs with better wages, lower working hours, and hire more people so that we can keep the production going. But if we want to keep the production going, we need to incentivize people to buy new, which again we know is not sustainable. So, in such a case, shifting to using the resources we already have, whether by upcycling, whether by recycling, though that has its own problems, whether by thrifting, swapping, by factory discards, just in case of clothing shopping, or others, like I'm talking about clothing specifically, is what I meant to say. All of these need to be carefully planned, right? We need people who are into sustainability, we need economists, we need on ground workers, all of them to come together and carefully plan this transition. But until then, what can we do? Well, first of all, just general things you can do to help sustainability: reduce food waste where possible, be mindful of your consumption, specifically of electricity, like do not leave the lights running when you don't have to, stuff you were taught in school, right? Compost if you can, buy locally and seasonally when possible, right? Try to eat a more plant-based diet when possible. I know it's not possible for everyone. It's not really possible for me right now, and I'm still transitioning into that. So I hear you, right? Advocate, create content, stand up in your place of work and say, hey, maybe we can make this more sustainable. If you can't stand up, that's also all right. You're doing the best you can, and that's what matters. But there are a myriad of options. I think I've structured this better on my blog, and I'll be linking that in the bio, so do check that out. But say you want to support the economy, and now that's very controversial because a lot of people will be like, hey, if you're sustainable, why do you want to support the economy? But money is what keeps many people's homes running. And you also want to be sustainable and you want to contribute towards going to a circular economy, because that is the one that I am using in my business. So that is the one I am the most familiar with. So that is the one I'll be talking about. In such cases, what can you do? And this is what the video is going to be about mostly. Details will be in my blog. So, first of all, you can look at your banks. You can look at where your banks are investing your money in, whether they're investing in fossil fuels, what are the sustainability policies of your banks. Now, I won't say go for ESG because it's very complicated. Like people are saying that, oh, it's good, but they also let Amazon in at one point. So you have to be very, very careful with where you're putting your money in stocks. But with your banks, you can check, right, where your money is being invested in. And if this is a possibility for you, go for green bank. Obviously, you need to take care of your financial security. You need to look at stuff like interest rates and get the advice of a personal finance manager, right, before you just switch your bank, because that's not a decision you get out of bed one morning and make. First of all, that. Second of all, and this is something I spoke to someone called Avika Garwal who's into finance on LinkedIn, and he told me that in India, green bonds haven't really worked. But if in your country they work, if they're a good finance decision, if you can diversify your portfolio in them, investing green, investing in companies you believe in, for me, that would be sustainable e-commerce stores, for example, right? Investing in companies you believe in and stuff can be really helpful, right? So there are like green bonds, there's obviously ESG, stuff like that, right? Again, more details are available on my blog. You can go check that out. If you want, I can make a larger video on sustainable investing. Gittemary Johanson has one for those of you who are in Europe, right? And apparently, studies, American studies though, not Indian studies, have shown that investing green actually has better returns. That hasn't worked out on ground in India. So it's a country to country thing. Personal finances are very, very unique. Get the advice of a personal finance manager. You can tell them you want to invest in things that are good for the planet. You can invest in education, stuff like that. So just get their advice. And sustainability does not have to be limited to companies which have the label of sustainable on them. If they're working in a sector which is better for people or planet and they're actually doing good work, they're automatically sustainable. Or at least better, socially better. You can, if you're a company, you can look at something called CSR or corporate social responsibility. I have not spoken about this in my blog, so if you want, I can make a separate video on this. But this is where you give back to the community essentially, right? By helping other companies, by helping other social initiatives, stuff like that, right? And let me just give me a moment, I'll check what other points I had. Because as much as I like to believe I have an eidetic memory, I clearly do not. And obviously, since we are acknowledging that consumption currently creates jobs, we can look at sustainable forms of consumptions, right? Now, what do I mean by sustainable forms of consumption? So, I'm not saying overconsume, I'm saying buy things that add genuine value to your life, give meaningful gifts, and buy them locally, seasonally, from small businesses, from sustainable, slow businesses, from upcycled, recycled, repurposed. Make something with your hands if you can. So you keep the machine going while also simultaneously slowly helping it shift to a better narrative. For example, if you say want to help promote circular economy, you can try and buy upcycled and recycled items. You can try and support brands which have take back programs, which have refill programs, right? For example, I won't take names of brands, though I do product reviews, which you can check out on my blog. And but say there's a sunscreen brand which takes back your empty box and fills it again, washes it, cleans it, sanitizes it properly, has all the health codes in place, and fills it again with sunscreen and returns it to you. While there will obviously be the impact of the travel back and forth, if that impact is lesser, if the brand is close to you, is local, then the impact of making a whole new box and sending the old one to recycling or just dumping it in the landfill, right? You can look at this holistic picture and make sustainable shopping choices, consume sustainably, right? So here's the thing, investing green, sustainably shopping, changing your bank, all of these are still better than saying, oh, well, I can't do anything sustainable with my finances. So either let me not invest at all to be sustainable and ruin my financial security, or let me just invest in fossil fuels. There are options. They're not perfect. These are all imperfect options, but that's what realistic, healthy sustainability is, imperfect. We get better with the new information we get every day. So keep learning, keep reading, keep watching, and